What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I want to talk about a new game. A game that's not even out yet, a game I have never talked about before, and one that until a couple of weeks ago, no, that's a lie, a couple of days ago, I was completely unaware even existed. You see, it turns out that there is a Gears of War card game coming. Now, I do need to give a massive shout out here to the lovely James Rayner over on Twitter, who did tweet at me a couple days ago going, "Hey Wossy, have you heard about the Gears of War card game that is planned for release this year?" No, I hadn't heard about that. And I am hyped. Now, let's be clear, I am a huge Gears of War fan. Like a gigantic Gears of War fan. I have beaten all the Gears of War games. Yes, that includes Judgment. Yes, that includes the remake of the first one as well as the original. Yes, that includes Gears Tactics. And as a side note, if anyone hasn't played Gears Tactics, but you've got a PC or a mate with a PC that is able to run it, oh my goodness, I enjoyed that game. That game was fun. I haven't beaten all of them multiple times, because I haven't beaten 5 in Tactics multiple times, but I have beaten all the others multiple times, and you can be absolutely sure I will. It is one of my very, very favourite video game series. And you might have noticed on this channel that I am somewhat of a fan of card games. So when someone tells me they're going to bring in one of my very, very favourite video game properties, and they're going to turn it into a card game, my interest gets piqued very, very quickly. Now, we have very little information. There is very little information out there. The official Gears of War website have gone and dropped a very small article with some pictures, and it was actually shown off. The game was actually shown at a Gears of War Mexico City Major back in March of this year. There were demo decks people played, but there's no playthrough online. There is, on the official Gears of War YouTube channel, there is a video showing snippets of gameplay, but it doesn't fully explain exactly how the game works. So what I'm going to do in this video is show you what we know, muse about what we don't, and generally just get super excited. Now, it is planned for release in autumn-winter 2020, but with everything going on in the world right now, let's take that date with a pinch of salt. It has already been confirmed that the Horizon Zero Dawn game is being delayed. There is a very good chance this will end up being as well, though no announcement has been made. I suppose at this stage I should mention the reason why the Horizon Zero Dawn game is relevant is because it is made by Steam Forged Games, who are making this Gears of War card game. They are basically the experts at making tabletop games based on video game properties. They've also worked on the Resident Evil tabletop games, for example. Resident Evil, one of my other very favourite video game properties. Huge fan. So it seems to be in very, very good hands here. Certainly the Resident Evil tabletop game really shows the feel of a Resident Evil game, and Horizon Zero Dawn, though I've not had a chance to play it, really seems like they're working hard on that. Another game I could not recommend highly enough. So I think it's in very, very good hands. Now, we know the release date, and that's largely what we know. We know that it is going to be designed by Tyler Bielman, who did work on Magic the Gathering. So we've got a very experienced tabletop game developer, designer, use whichever phrase you feel is more appropriate, at the helm of this game. So again, we've got more reasons for positivity here. And this is essentially the spiel that we are given on the official website. Gears of War the card game offers an immersive way to enjoy Gears in a brand new format. In this story-driven campaign-style game, the decisions you make in each narrative scenario will have serious consequences on the battlefield in those that follow. Strike at the right moment, making your cards work together, fight together and stand together, and if necessary, die together. Choose how to develop your force as you play through unique narrative scenarios, each with their own objective and terrain layout. Each win or loss will affect the contents of your deck in the next scenario, allowing success or failure to impact your experience of the game. Will you side with a coalition of ordered governments, the COG as they're called in the game, and send Marcus Phoenix and Dominic Santiago into action, or will you command the Locust Horde and unleash the awesome power of the monstrous Brumak? Throw frag grenades at hordes of wretches, or bait a corpser into attacking you before striking it when it's most vulnerable. The choice will be in your hands. Now, I do love that they do seem to be leaning very heavily into the Gears of War lore here. The fact that they're throwing around Brumaks and wretches and corpses and all of that makes me very, very happy. And the artwork here is very, very clearly taken directly from the video games. If we have a look over at some screen grabs we've taken from the Gears of War YouTube video, we can see that we've actually got characters like, for instance, Queen Myrrah, who was one of the characters very much in the video games, that are going to be featured in this, and that makes me very, very happy. Now, there is a question I have got about the timeline here. Let's just say that thing that happens in Gears of War 3 might put it in a particular time spot. I don't want to get too spoilery here. If you played Gears of War 3, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you probably don't, but then you should, because the Gears of War games are awesome. Now, watching a playthrough video over at the Gears of War channel, and I will pop a link to that one in the description, we are given a small amount of information here. We are told that you deploy units and that you look to take cover. Now, of course, one thing I find very, very interesting is that Gears of War is a cover-based shooter. Even Gears Tactics, which is a tactics game, really revolved very, very heavily around the use of cover, so I really like the fact that this seems to be doing as well. Gears of War is a universe where you hide behind stuff and shoot. So when I'm playing a card game, I want to hide behind stuff and shoot. And we can see one of the cards that's been shown is Planted Grenade, that just lets you kill a unit in cover. Seems about right. I mean, if we look at some of the other COG cards we see here, Battle Plans lets you draw up to 3 cards. Preparation gives a COG unit +2/+2, and you get to draw a card. And Private gains +1/+0 in cover. Now, there are basically 3 values that we see on the cards. And it seems to be, I would imagine, that one of them is melee, one of them is shooting, and then the 1, 7, 4, 5, 6, any, I am assuming that this is to do with deployment and when you're allowed to deploy the cards. Again, I've not been able to, the information just is not out there about how to play this game. But that seems sensible to me. That is essentially when you can play them. I mean, Fresh Recruit can be played at any time, but it's clearly got very generic stats and no skill, whereas Private does have a skill, but it's got 4, 5, and 6. I'm not entirely sure what the numbers represent, but I'm assuming that's to do with when they can be deployed or played onto the battlefield. The fact that we've got 2 Lancers crossing on the left-hand value seems to suggest melee to me, and the fact that we've got what looks like a target/bullet hole/thing seems to suggest range to me on the right-hand side of the card. As always, as soon as we get confirmation, I will of course do a follow-up video showing you everything we need to know. Now, the one gameplay mechanic they did appear to show off in the video was the person doing the demo did say, you whittle away health, which is also cards. And we did see when an attack was going off that one of the players was discarding cards from the top of their deck. So it seems to be here that when you deal damage, what you actually are doing is trying to discard your opponent's deck to deck them out to win. Does that mean there are a couple of decks, one to try and deck out and another one to try and draw from? I didn't see that in the game, which does seem to suggest that it is a kind of get rid of your opponent's cards and then deck them out kind of thing. Although, as always, we will have to wait and see. Now, if we look at some of the Locust cards that we've seen so far, we've got things like Ink Grenade, which kills any unit. Rush, which gives a locust +2/+2 and lets you draw a card. Yes, it is exactly the same as Preparation. It is literally just the locust version of that card. Respawn lets you move a unit from your discard pile to the reserve. I am assuming, and we did see a little bit that would maybe suggest that in the playthrough video, that you basically have reserve units who are ready to join the fight but haven't joined it yet. And then you essentially move units up, and then the ones that are moved up are then able to actually go and fight. I believe that's what it means. Wretch Pack gains +3/+3 when in cover. Of course, that sounds a little bit like we saw with Private. It might be when it moves into cover. There's a little bit of text that is covered there. And then we've obviously got Boomer, who, I mean, he's got gigantic stats. 5/5. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. But then again, Boomer is huge. I mean, that is 2.5 times a fresh recruit. Obviously, we haven't seen enough cards to really make a decision as to what is huge and what is not, but I think it's fair to assume that that's probably pretty big. Now, we did see a Queen Mirror card in the demo. Now, this is a command card, and it gives all Locust units Overrun. Overrun, apparently, when a unit with Overrun is attacking, the opposing player takes 1 damage when you kill an enemy unit. So it seems like in the same vein as games like Digimon and Final Fantasy and all of that, what you're essentially trying to do is whittle down your opponent's deck and then go ahead and attack them and actually deal damage to them. We will have to wait for actual confirmation here. And I think it is worth mentioning, we have had a cheeky little look at a Marcus Phoenix card as well. We can't really read the text, unfortunately, but we do see that it's got 4/4, and there's another symbol in the middle, which I'm afraid I'm not terribly familiar with. There are many, many questions about this game still, but the excitement that it's coming made me want to make a video showing you everything I could, so I did. Now, one of the questions that a lot of people have been asking me since I started talking about this on Twitter, etc., do you think it's going to be a trading card game, or is it going to be more you buy it in a box like a deck building game? I think the latter. I mean, if we look at Steamforged's output previously, it's very much you buy games. Now, to be fair, they do make the Dark Souls card game, and the Dark Souls card game has had a bunch of expansions. So I think it's absolutely possible that they release this and then start releasing a bunch of expansions. That's fair. But I don't believe it's going to be your traditional TCG. Yes, they've released games with expansions before. I think getting other expansions later is absolutely sensible, but I don't believe it's going to be a full-on trading card game where you buy booster packs, etc. I'd quite like to be wrong about that. I'd love this as a TCG, but the fact that they refer to it as a campaign game and the fact that it is Steamforged really does make it seem to me like we are talking a out-of-the-box game rather than a trading card game, but maybe some expansions down the line. So that's what we know, a look at some of the early cards, and of course some predictions on what we don't. As always, I want to know what you think. Are you hyped for a Gears of War card game? Are you a fan of the Gears of War video games? I am so hyped about this, it's almost unreal. But I'd like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section. Get up, spin ice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy. That's where we talk a whole bunch of games like this and any others. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of good stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.